Jake Paul offers Jorge Masvidal $5 million to fight. Belal Muhammed calls out Khamzat Chimaev and says that beating him is more valuable than beating anyone else in the rankings. Some fun topics to talk about. Smash that like button, guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn those post notifications on too. And let's first start off talking about this potential fight that's been offered between Jake Paul and Jorge Masvidal. I feel as though it's going to be an extremely hard fight to make, to get a guy on a UFC contract to now jump over to boxing, especially to fight Jake Paul. It's one thing Conor McGregor getting a chance to fight Floyd Mayweather. Masvidal, not a champion of the world, granted does have the BMF belt. Paul, not a notable high-level pro boxer, rather the celebrity style of fight. So we offered him about $5 million to take him on, but Masvidal has already come back and said, that's chump change. That's not enough. He said that he'll do the fight for $20 million, assuming the UFC will also then be taking a fee. Is he outpricing himself? Personally, I believe he kind of is. I don't know, with the UFC if they'd allow it to happen. But let's say hypothetically they did allow it to happen. I don't see $5 million being a terrible offer. Maybe the UFC would want their own payment on the back end. So realistically, Masvidal's purse maybe drops to 2.5 or less. So let's say Masvidal's not happy with that. Let's see if Paul could offer him $10 million. Hypothetically, though, let's say a big offer is made and Jake Paul versus Masvidal goes down in boxing, not inside of the cage, because Masvidal did pose potentially doing the fight in the cage, straight hands fight, and that if he did go take the fight to the floor, there would be, a purse that he would have to give to Jake Paul. There'd be consequences. Personally, I don't think that would even be possible. I don't know how that would be written into the contract. That just seems like an odd thing that the UFC would not be willing to do. I highly doubt the UFC, especially Dana White, wants Jake Paul in the cage wearing UFC gloves and somehow he lands some big shot and knocks Masvidal out in the cage, regardless if it's only a straight hands rule set. That's not happening. But let's say they jump into the boxing ring. Jorge Masvidal will be the best boxer that Jake Paul has ever faced. Serious knockout power. He's aggressive. He has nice hooks. I would say Masvidal's boxing game is extremely good for mixed martial arts. Now he takes on Jake Paul in a pure boxing ring. Stats-wise, Jake Paul 2 inches taller, reach equal. I feel like Masvidal could definitely be in that fight. I feel like he'd be more competitive than Tyron Woodley. I think there'd be good offense from Masvidal. I feel as though that is a true 50-50 fight. If you put the odds out now, I see Masvidal jumping out in about -150 favorite over Jake. I fear as though that still Jake Paul somehow, some way finds a way to beat the MMA fighters. It seems like mentally he's on another place right now with his self-belief in the boxing ring. I think he knows, and he said this, MMA is a different sport than boxing. So he knows if he jumps to mixed martial arts, he's not going to beat these guys. He's not saying he's going to jump to MMA and do it. He's talked a little bullshit. Yeah, I'll fight MMA, this, and that. But that's more smoke and mirrors to keep adding to the hype. Inside of a boxing ring, Jorge Masvidal versus Jake Paul, I'd be interested in seeing that fight. If I had to pick a winner right now, I'm going to pick Jake Paul wins. A potentially controversial decision. It'll be close. I hate to say that. Obviously, as a fan, we'd want to see Masvidal come through and end the Jake Paul hype train, but I just think that would be extremely hard to do in the boxing ring. Even if Masvidal maybe does just enough to win, I feel like he'd need the knockout against Jake Paul. I don't know if he'd have the tools to do so. In pure boxing, we haven't seen Masvidal. I'd assume he'd look better than Tyron Woodley. Granted, who knows? I feel like muscle stature-wise, Woodley is a thicker-framed individual. Masvidal used to fight at 55. Woodley's never making 55. He's a real 170-pounder who was thick for the weight class, just undersized in height. I think that the physical attributes Jake Paul would have there, being the bigger, stronger guy, could realistically play towards him winning a decision over Jorge Masvidal. For $5 million, it's not going to happen. $10 million potential talk. I think that Masvidal will be interested in this, but I don't know if Dana White or anybody in the UFC's, upper echelon of the business is going to allow this to happen. I think Masvidal losing that fight is a stain on the name. It looks bad. Woodley, he's released from the UFC. He's a free agent. I don't believe that Jorge gets the fight. It's unfortunate. He would be able to make a killing, ton of money, more than he'll make inside of the UFC at this point, but that's how the fight game goes. Now, jumping to the next subject, Belal Muhammed. He calls out Khamzat. He said that's the fight that he wants. First thing, respect to Belal Muhammed for even being willing to consider the thought of fighting Khamzat when everybody is running the opposite direction, because Khamzat Chimaev is the scariest fighter in the weight class. He can wrestle, he can strike. What can he not do? He's fast, he's athletic, he has serious knockout power, he's physically imposing, 6 feet 2 inches tall with his reach 75 inches. Belal on the opposite side, 5'11", 71-inch reach. You know what? Wrestling for wrestling, Belal is more so competitive in this fight. He's got an amazing wrestling base. He's in incredible physical shape. He lacks the explosiveness. He lacks the stand-up skill set. And I'll be honest with you guys, I think that Khamzat Chimaev dust Belal Muhammed in under 4 minutes. It would be a complete one-sided beating, but I don't think that Belal is going to go out there, Khamzat is going to go out there and take Belal to the floor, look to slam him, put him on his back and choke him out. I think that he'll keep it standing and he'll piece Belal up and show the wrinkle of the striking game that, wow, this guy is actually an elite level kickboxer along with being an elite level wrestler with ground and pound from hell. I mean, truly, this is I guess we're going to call him the grandson of ground and pound. You have the godfathers back in the day of ground and pound. Right now, Khamzat Chimaev probably has the best ground and pound in the game. The man's an absolute monster. He also has submission skills. Belal Muhammed coming off a great win over Wonderboy. I actually think this is the fight to make. Neil Magny, he gets run through without any doubt. Belal Muhammed also gets ran through by Khamzat Chimaev, but there's this little X factor. Belal can wrestle his ass off. He's in great shape, and he is beating big names. He just beat Wonderboy. Before that, he beats Damian Maia. He beats a pure specialist in striking. He beats a pure specialist in grappling, and they claim the best ever to do it. Let's see how he does against the freakiest of freaks in the welterweight division ever, a guy who can wrestle his ass off and strike on a different level, and also is an athletic specimen who's 6 feet 2 inches tall. Belal doesn't have a shot in hell in the fight. I think he gets absolutely whopped, but I gotta respect Belal for going for it. The fight game, crazier upsets, I guess, potentially have happened. We've seen Pena beat Nunes. I don't think that would happen here, but for Belal's career, I think it makes great sense. I actually am very interested in this fight. I think it's a fight night main event. I think it's a pay-per-view featured bout of the night. I really feel like in 2022, this is probably the fight we're going to get. Belal wants it. I don't see why Khamzat would say no. I think this is a great moment because right now Belal Muhammed is on 6 fights in a row, I believe, unbeaten. He had that unfortunate result against Leon Edwards, no contest. 5 fights with wins, with 1 no contest. You beat Wonderboy, you beat Damian Maia. He's on to a fantastic go right now, and I really think that the fight against Khamzat Chimaev, amazing for his career, win or lose, because Belal goes out there and shows he's an absolute savage to take that fight. But Khamzat is unstoppable. No man in the welterweight division is going to beat Khamzat Chimaev, and that's my honest opinion here. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this fight news reaction video. Make sure to smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe to the channel and turn on those post notifications. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Much love, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace, guys.